Hey, everybody, Jim Cummings here. And if Tigger were here, he'd say, thanks, everybody, for bouncing on in here and enjoying the show. But before we go, I want you to do me a small favor. Hit like, subscribe, and give us a thumbs up if you're enjoying the show. Now, speaking of enjoying the show, enjoy the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Toon'd In with Jim Cummings. Today, we have a very, very special guest. It's a gal that I go way back with. She's been one of my favorite partners in crime over the years. She is the one, the only Ms. Jennifer Hale.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, everybody.
Oh.
It is such a joy to be here.
And Jennifer, say hello to producer Chris.
Producer Chris.
Have we done that? And Brendan, our friend from the land down under.
Brendan!
That was my bad Australian accent. And meanwhile, back to the ranch, here we are. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
I dare say your adoring fans will be looking forward to this. And I'm sure we shan't disappoint. And, you know, I was, as usual, I always, like to refresh myself, even if I know somebody, know them well, work with them.
Oh, my God. We've known each other forever.
I know. And yet, I find myself surprised to hear that you were a Disney princess?
Yes, I still am.
And I know, and still are.
We live in Disney World
know.
together. We live in Disney together, although our universes don't cross. For a long time, I was both Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty until the chips got so good you could tell the same person was... You're like, wait a minute, is that the same voice print? Because they're, in personality, those princesses aren't necessarily... They're quite different, but you'd have to know how. But now I remain Cinderella since 1995. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's pretty darn cool.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Cinderella is the one, right? When you think of Disney princesses, it's Cinderella.
That's so kind of you to say. I would agree with you.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Now, she wasn't... Let's see, Snow White, I think, was the very, very first. But was she a princess? I mean, I guess she was in the end.
I think, in Disney's eye back then, every girl like that was a princess, right? That was what they believed was aspired to.
Except Maleficent.
Yes. Right. I'm sure she used to be. She just, that fall from grace got to her. Mm-hmm.
That's true, huh? Oh, man.
She a fallen princess. She does not like it.
And I did not know that you were Dory in various projects.
I was?
Under the sea.
What?
What
Yeah.
Yeah, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. That's a Dory joke, folks.
I'm what I call the stunt Dory, which is I do everything that's not the films. Ellen is brilliant in that role, and it is the most intimidating job I have, is whenever I'm asked to come in and do Dory, because...
Really?
I mean, her dialect alone is really this crazy combination of different geographic places, and it's the only role I do sitting down. And Ben Hoppy, voice director at Character Voices, he and I figured that out after a few years of doing it. We realized that, when I would do that voice, I have to really get it right, I have to blow all the air out of my body. And then I go into it, and then I start Dorying, and a boat, that whole thing. And so it's the only role I do.
Good.
Yeah, a boat.
It's so
I've
subtle.
seen a boat.
It's so subtle, but it's right on.
Hi. It's very subtle, but it's there. Just keep swimming, just keep swimming. Oh, I love that role so much. But yes, Ellen does the films, and then I come in for the theme park stuff for games or commercials or whatever adjunct stuff there is, because she's quite busy, and I'm honored to be Stunt Dory. Mm-hmm.
Wow, how cool is that?
Yeah.
And you don't have to swim.
I don't. Even though I do know how, I don't. Not in here.
That's right. Well,
a boat? Okay.
Yeah, we were just playing around with Jody Benson the other day, and she's a pretty good... I got to believe she's a pretty good swimmer.
Oh,
at this
my
point.
God. Right? She's got to be.
Just keep swimming.
She should just say she isn't either way.
Yes, either way.
Because it's a whole new world, right?
But seriously. Wait a minute. Somebody else did that. That's from Aladdin.
Is it? Oh, it is.
She's part of your world.
Part of this world.
Part of the world. That's right. Thank you. Thank you. Oops.
Everybody does that.
I know.
Everybody does that.
That makes me just like everyone else.
No, but it must be, I don't know. I guess it's got that foreign sounding who knows what, and I can't figure it out, but I'm glad you're here. And you played Dory, but one of my, because I was going over, see, I'm taking notes. I'm doing my job. I got my little pad here.
You're a professional. You've always been a professional.
That's exactly right. But before we get into this incredible question here, When it says that you played Elektra, now is that the badass female daredevil?
That is actually Elektra Oviroa from Cowboy Bebop, the movie, Knocking on Heaven's Door.
Oh, the
And
movie.
she
Well, excuse me.
She is a bad, can I say that phrase?
Yes.
Bad beep. She's a badass. I went up
Yes.
against Steve Bloom in that one. We went toe to toe in that one, and it was so much fun. That's one of my first and one of my very few anime jobs that I'm so grateful to have. Mary Elizabeth McGlynn gave me that opportunity to read for her for that, and I was really excited because she's a genius of a director and just a genius of a human being.
She's a doll anyway.
She's incredible.
And she does a hell of a Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes, she does a hell of anything. Anything.
Yes.
That woman can do no wrong, especially when she's doing wrong. She's amazing. She's amazing. Yeah.
You and Steve are like Guinness World Records buddies, aren't you?
We are indeed. I have to constantly correct people. They're like, you have the Guinness record for video game voices. I'm like, for women. Steve Bloom has it for men.
Well, who has more, you or Steve? Who technically is? Steve does. Okay.
Well, I mean, no, not to make anyone uncomfortable, but it's very much was a man's world for a long time. So I'm excited to be in the running in that zone. Yeah.
When did you see the shift?
Pretty darn cool.
The shift is still happening. Okay. The shift kicked into high gear. I mean, Mass Effect was one of the first things that kicked that door down.
Yeah.
And really, I sort of joke, my career is really just an excuse to kick down doors and things because I just love breaking barriers. when I came to LA and started doing commercials, I remember my agents would give me copy, and I'd been doing commercials for, 8 years in Birmingham, Alabama, and Atlanta, Georgia before I moved to LA. And I knew enough to know when I saw a script and it said, testimonial 4 and woman number 2, that there was an announcer. And the announcer's where the repeat business is and where the money is. And so I said to my agents, can I read for announcer? And they'd say, they want a man. I said, I know. Can I read anyway? And they're like, okay. And I just kept doing it over and over and over. And this was the mid-'90s. And by 2000, 2002, I could not turn on the TV or radio without hearing myself. I was like,
that's
boom,
great.
Next door, give me the next one. So, so in games, it was cool. Yeah, Mass Effect was the game where, one of the first, where the male and female player character lines were identical. Almost completely identical. And they didn't change it for gender or anything. And I understand that, I believe, I could be wrong because I wasn't in the room, but that character, Commander Shepard, was originally written as a woman. And they didn't change anything. And so that was another one. I'm like, boom, goodbye door, goodbye barrier.
Yeah.
Next, give me the next one. So, it was really fun. It's still shifting. It's still changing. It's changed a lot. Now we're into representation. I went to this CBC talk the other night here on the island where I live, about who can say what and communication. And the topic that night was who can say what and who can speak for whom. And one of the questions afterward was like, hey, I'm a cis white male, and I have characters in my head that are not white. When do I get to write? Is it okay for me to write what's in my head too? Because I have this creativity too. And the speaker said the greatest thing, he said, yes, just not right now. We're just going to pause because everybody who was left out of the conversation for so many years needs to catch up. Then we can all see about proceeding forward. We just need to make space right now for everybody to catch up. And I was like, that's a great way to put it. So I'm seeing that in the industry, to answer your question about is it changing?
And who is doing the best catching up? I mean, who's got the farthest, biggest row to hoe? Do you think it's just women
First
announcers
Nations.
in general? What's that?
People,
First Nations?
Native Americans. They're completely left out of the conversation.
Yeah.
Like none of that's happening.
Yeah, and I'm sure you remember our buddy Michael Horse.
Yes, I do.
From and he would have a lot to say about that. Wherever you are, Michael. God bless you.
Bless you. Yeah, I am up here in Canada. We call it First Nations, and I'm a member of a First Nations nation, Ninatuhivut, and my father was an elder, behaved in the capacity of an elder in our community, and was a leader of getting us our rights and stuff, and protecting our land and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a long road to hoe. But what I like is everybody gets to come to the party now. Everybody gets to play, and we're opening the doors, and we're aware of it. And to me, that includes like the patriarchy gets turned into like, oh, it's those old white guys, but everyone gets to come to the party. Because not everyone did that to everybody. Like, let's all be in the party together. Let's all go in together. Let's all learn about each other. Let's all go forward together. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's all ingredients for the gumbo.
Exactly.
That's
and you know gumbo, don't you?
I do know my gumbo. Yes, I do.
Where do you get the best gumbo, Jim?
I'll make you some damn good red bean like that.
Oh.
From down there in the bayou down Louisiana, yeah.
Gosh. Have you ever driven through the bayou? I drove out to Lafitte's Landing out there, a restaurant about 45 minutes outside of New Orleans. You've been out there?
Yes, I have.
That drive is something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been to everywhere in Louisiana.
Oh, my gosh.
And New Orleans, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great place to be from.
Yeah.
But boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
Living there will kill you. Just keeping up with the, the mailman. It's like, oh man, it's too much.
Yeah.
But I digress. I was reading about you because there are still some things I don't know. And I was really pleasantly surprised. And you are in, ladies and gentlemen, I think I should bring a drum in here.
I'm afraid I won't remember this now. I don't know what he's about to say.
Oh, that's okay. It's it's something to do with the Guinness Book of World Records?
Yes.
Do I dare tell everybody to turn to page 99 in your hymnals, and you will see that our Jennifer is, quote unquote, the most prolific video game actress on this particular planet.
On this one.
Yeah, so that's got to be fun.
It is fun. I remember when games first started, there were a couple people who just wouldn't do them because they were like, that's just a lot of work. Because, our sessions it's a 4-hour radio play in animation. We're all sharing the load. But in games, it's a 4-hour one-person show with a couple of quick potty breaks. And it's exhausting. But I really wanted to buy a house. I just joke that I have a Guinness record because I like real estate.
That's good.
But yeah, I fell in love with games though, and with those universes, and with the producers and the creators, and it's just the most incredible community of people, like animation, like all of it, like this whole area of the industry of voice acting and voiceover of all the flavors. It's just a beautiful, brilliant, really talented group of people, and I love being in the rooms with them. Yeah, I
agree. Yeah, it's and it's nice because you don't run into a lot of ego.
No,
so
you don't.
That's nice.
Yeah. I think part of that is because everybody's so incredibly brilliant, and everybody knows it. Like nobody knows. Like we're not special. We're in the most special crowd of special people ever. And I remember being in the room with you, and with everybody, and like every single time, I am blown away by the genius that surrounds me. I'm like, what? This is crazy. When it drives me crazy when the film and TV people inevitably get a hold of an animation property or a game property, and they go out and cast it with the fancy people, the on-camera people.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of wonderful on-camera people, but I just shake my head because I'm like, you guys just left gold and diamonds and platinum,
they're not all,
uranium on the floor.
Yeah, they're not all Robin Williams, that's for sure.
Oh my gosh, yes. But the voice acting community is. That's what's nuts. It is. So those rooms are, they're amazing. Yeah.
No, I couldn't agree more.
Can you guys take us back, both of you, Jim, Jennifer, the original Boulders Gate? That's something that Jim gets asked about all the time. And you both worked on that. So let's go back to Boulders Gate. What do you remember at the recording sessions for that one?
I remember it was a long time ago. Yeah. And I think Baldur's Gate was one of my first games, but there's a thing that happens when you're recording a game. Like, Jim, when we're doing animation, we do it in sequence, right? We're like this page of the script, that page of the script, then that page. But when you do a game, like if this is the storyline, the story arc of a game, you might do a scene from this piece, then one from this piece, then back over here on the timeline, then over there on the timeline, and you're time hopping. You don't know what's
hopping
what,
all around, right?
And you don't often have context, especially back then, because the unsung heroes to me in game production are voice directors. And their role's really important. They're the ones who say, hey, you're in this part of the story now. Oh, no, we've skipped over to this. And this just happened. And you're talking to this person, but they haven't killed your best friend yet. They're about to, and they give you all those details that are important for a performance. And back in those early days, I remember we didn't have as much context. And it was very interesting. It was a process to learn to let go of all those details and just make them up for yourself and hope they were right. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
But can you remember any memories of recording the game, Jim? Because you say that people always ask you about Minsk, but you also played the Master as well.
Yes, I played a few different things, and I remembered the Master. That was an interesting one because it was sort of a disembodied head, and then it was treated with all this sort of weird effect, and there was a woman's voice that popped in. Hello, look out over there. There. And it was like three different people. Wait, what just happened? So I don't pretend to understand it, but it was fun to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that leaves me, But yeah, I mean that's the thing about games is you don't always have a storyboard. You don't know where you are or what's happening, and they're kind of not hard for me, but just not a little confusing. I haven't done one in a while, but and there are people out there that just go nuts and they're so successful at like conventions, so to speak. And I say more power to them because I think they're really earning their stripes, because some of those scripts, you get them and they're like that. So yeah, okay. Well, like I was
seen
saying,
them that big, yeah. Mass Effect, the first one alone, I think I had 7,000 lines.
7,000.
I
haven't done 7,000 lines yet.
I know you have. I know
Last
know
Saturday
for
night.
a fact you have.
Oh my God.
You're so prolific.
My
Yeah,
gosh.
no, it was a lot. It's a lot. Well, because we had branching. That was one of the uniquenesses of that game was the interactivity with the player. And so we had tons of branching dialogue and lots of different options that could happen in any given situation. And your choices that you made, the consequences of those choices follow you into the next installment of the game. It's very, very interesting.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. It was brilliantly done.
How long does it take to record 7,000 lines?
I think over the course of a year we did that. Because the sessions, I have a whole thing when I walk into a session because I really love the people I work with. So I love to spend a minute and connect with them. But I'm all about the workload. And part of that whole like giant script thing in games and why we pop around on the timeline is that the tech is first. The needs of the dev team are first and the needs of the actor come, after, in the order that needs to come to make everything happen. And so I'm conscious of the workload. And I'm conscious of the work day. And if we've got a huge line load, I'm going to come in, say hi, let's get to work. If we've got a little time, I'm like, oh, hey, so how have you been? How's your kid? How are you? And,
sure.
And I'll go get a tea. It's fine. But otherwise, I'm like, let's go. I remember I walked into one of the Mass Effect sessions, and I think this might have been in the second one, or I think it was. And Caroline Livingstone was directing, and I said, what's our count? She goes, oh, no. I was like, what do you mean?
Boy.
Oh, no. She
That's
goes,
just
it's
what
a
you
lot.
wanted to hear.
It's a lot. And I'm like, okay. She goes, yeah, Steve doesn't think we'll be able to do it. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? He doesn't think we'll be able to do this. So I was like, let's go. And we did 563 lines in our session. And it was just like crank, go.
So
Yeah.
you recorded a phone book, and then after the phone book was...
Yeah, and it's cold reading. That's the thing about games. Like, with our
Yeah.
animation scripts, we get them ahead of time, or audiobooks or whatever. We get them ahead of time. We get to look at them and digest them and play with them, and we get a storyboard in animation. We don't get any of that in games. We might get a piece of artwork. And the entirety of Mass Effect was cold reading. And in the first one, at least it was paper, so I could kind of flip ahead and go, okay, while they were doing something technical. The second one, they had this new system where it was all on a screen, and they controlled the screen. I did not have the ability to look ahead.
Oh.
So that line popped up. I'd see it. They'd tell me a little bit of information, and then I just made choices.
You were hit the ground running.
Made it happen. And within, anywhere from 2 to 6 takes, it's gone to market.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And do you prefer working like that, working cold, as opposed to getting to bone up the night before?
I'm so trained. I'm trained really heavily for both. I love both of them. I'm so trained on the game thing. I don't mind it at all. I'm like, let's go. Hand me anything right now. Let's do it. I'll figure it out. Oh, because I think what that's trained me for is falling on my face and looking like an idiot instantly because I had all the wrong assumptions in place. Like, okay, that's our job.
Yeah, and it's not like you're on stage.
Yeah. Yeah. Even though everyone's watching. Yeah. No, you're right.
Even though everyone's watching. Yeah.
All these people I highly respect just watch me face plant. Hey, what's up?
Except that it feels exactly like that. Other than that, yeah.
Yes, exactly. But humility is the order of the day, right? There it is.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, there goes all your self-importance. Anyway. Yeah.
Jeez.
Can you recall the first time video games were taken seriously, in your opinion?
I'm waiting. No.
Yeah, it could be any day now.
Man. That's a great question. What do you mean taken seriously?
Well, it feels like growing up in the 90s, video games weren't seen as the professional business that they are now. They were still games. Even gaming itself is now a professional industry.
Yeah.
When did you realize, when did you remember the first time you were working on a video game and went, this is something special that people are really going to appreciate?
I think of nothing in that context, and I think of everything in that context. I don't think any game. I've been around long enough. Worked on games where it was motion capture because I love performance capture. I love PCAP. I love doing PCAP, and they flew us to Vancouver, another city, and put us up in a hotel, fancy dinners. Spent a ton on this thing. We workshopped stuff. It was amazing, and then never went anywhere.
Oh, boy.
And then I've been on titles where it was just this little sleeper and blew up and is still a thing. So I don't think of it in those terms. And I also, for reasons of self-preservation, I don't focus on that because the truth is we get paid as workaday actors. We fight to get overscale. First game, one of the early games I ever did was Metal Gear Solid. I had two sessions on that. Union rate was around $600 at the time, so I made about $1,200. And the game made, I think, $176 million. If I was an on-camera actor and that happened, my quote, and my fee for my next job would have been through the roof. But to this day, as voice actors, we fight to get overscale. We have no residuals on games. I've done probably a couple $1 billion worth of games. No residuals on any of that.
Right.
And
no one listened to me. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but
no, you're right, Jim.
Way back when.
Yep.
And everybody and they did the same thing with cable. This is what drove me crazy. I said, okay, 5 years ago I was having this conversation in front of all of you people, and we're down there at the SAG-AFTRA, and I said, nobody, cable, come on. Yeah, like NBC, ABC, and CBS where are they gonna go? They're gonna go somewhere? They're not gonna be there. It's going to be all cable. And I said, no, they'll still be there, and then it'll be cable plus.
This needs to be said to you.
Yeah.
Right now, this needs to be said to you. You were right.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. And then they did the same thing with when video came out. When
games.
Yeah, they're not going to. These games, they're not going to do. I mean, that's ridiculous. It's not. What are you going to sell? 12 of them? How about 12 million?
Yeah.
Okay, then would you like a penny? Don't you want anything? And everybody. I mean, there were like 6 of us.
Yep.
And that was it. And here we are, years later, completely dominated by every video game and every. You know the drill.
Yeah, I do. My financial life would be substantially different, but I am a happy person, and I move my attention to things I can impact. That is not one of them.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's no looking back, but boy, oh boy, hindsight's 20/20, but not when it's in the moment. It's like, no, this is coming, and here we are.
Yeah,
lamenting, so to speak, but with a smile.
With a smile.
Yes.
So, it's funny. I think the industry's taken seriously because it makes a lot of money. I don't think we as performers are taken seriously because we are still called replaceable.
I was going to say, do you feel yourself expendable? Yeah.
I know I'm not. I know the fans don't think that. But we're in a situation where, look, we've watched the consolidation of the economic scene, over the last couple decades where fewer and fewer players control more and more of the real estate. And their decision makers are deeply disconnected from the process, from the fans, from everything that to me matters. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put down the Chinese abacus and.
You don't need another bonus. You don't need another yacht. You don't need to strangle people and remove their ability to feed themselves because that will not go well for you. Do you remember Bastille Day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. That's not a bad one. Well, I do. And I remember that you were, of course, we talked about the Old Republic, but there are a couple things that we have in common too. And you were on the Mighty Ducks. I think I did one.
Yes.
I did Ann Mighty Duck, and so that meant you were working with Pammy Siegel.
I was.
And
I was April Winchell.
April was there.
Steve Mackle, Jeff Bennett, Brad Garrett. I stood in that room just in awe. Just like April would go over. Do you remember it was Screen Music Studios?
Sure.
And remember they had that Foley pit that was right next to where we'd record? April Winchell would go over and do like kitty litter theater using the Foley pit to make the most hilarious sounds and jokes. She's a genius.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, God, that's
so
funny.
I was in awe. And Tim Curry, he was a regular on that cast as well. And he could, I loved him. He could never remember my name. I know this because every week I was either, hello, Blossom. Hello, Buttercup. He'd call me like Powerpuff Girls names. I'm like, hey.
Oh, my God.
Hey, Tim. Tim said something to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was
God
great.
bless him. Those are good times.
Oh,
good,
so
good
brilliant.
stuff.
He was so brilliant.
Well,
yeah.
And I did not know. And see, that's the problem. There were like 3 or 4 Spider-Men over the years. And you were Mary Jane in one of them.
I was Mary Jane in one of them, and then in the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, Mark Hamill was in that. I think you were in that room a few times.
I think he was the Joker.
He was Hobgoblin in that one, and probably
one?
Joker too, because he's such a he's one of this crew of brilliant voice actors.
I know.
Everybody else has grabbed him back for this on-camera thing, but he's a genius.
Apparently, he's doing well with that too.
Whatever, some science fiction movie. I don't know what that was.
Yeah,
but,
exactly right.
Yeah, but I was Felicia Hardy in The Black Cat. Yeah. In that one, and that was so super, super fun. And yes, Mary Jane in a couple iterations of Spider-Man in the games and stuff. And yeah, it's funny when I look at those roles, like the Marvel roles, many of us share those roles. Like sometimes I'm that role, and sometimes Vanessa Marshall's that role, or sometimes Laura Bailey's that role. Like we all sort of share the roles. It's the way it goes around in the community.
Yes, it does.
We just had Hank Azaria on. He played Venom in that original series.
Yep.
Yeah.
We would be there. I would love Hank. I remember him. I won't talk out of school, but sharing his experience of our director. I remember that.
He shared it. He shared it.
Okay, good. Yeah. Oh my God. That room was incredible because that was like I want to say Spider-Man was my second or third animated series, and I just got one after the other. It was like a year or two into my career, and my mind was blown. I was just booking animated series after animated series. I was like, what is happening? And but sitting in that lobby for Spider-Man, I mean, we had in the cast, we had Mark Hamill, Hank Azaria, all these incredible people. And as our guest people, we had like Ephraim Zimbalist Jr., Martin Landau, Ed Asner all the time.
I forgot about Ephraim.
Oh my God. And I just sit in that lobby just going, this is incredible. And Stan would come in all the time. Stan Lee was a fixture. He would just always come, and he invited us all to his home for the big premiere, on Saturday, and we all went to see him and Joan and, just hang out at the house in Beverly Hills. And years later, probably 10 years later, I'm walking down the street in Beverly Hills, a thing I don't often do. And who do I see on the street coming towards me but Stan Lee? And I am prepping myself to go, okay, how do I say it? How do I not be annoying? How do I go, I don't know if you remember me, Stan, but... And he looks up and he goes, Jennifer! And I was like,
oh, never mind.
Stan Lee remembered me!
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
It was such a gift. I was like, give me a big hug. I'm like, my life is complete.
Stan Lee knows my name.
I know. I was like, Stan Lee knows my name. Stan Lee knows my name.
I mean, he's like the Pope.
Oh my God. He's amazing. I still speak of him in the present tense because for me, he's still here. He's just still here.
Oh, it's so true. Yeah. Excelsior.
Oh God, he was adorable.
Yeah, he sure was.
He's just a delight. He was always delighted and always excited about life and about things, and it was just a glorious thing to be around.
And it was. I always enjoy every time I'd go and see a movie, Marvel movie. I'd say, okay, the cameo's coming up. He's coming up. He's gonna be there. He's gonna be there somewhere.
Yep.
And I think my favorite was the one Spider-Man where he was in the library listening to classical music while Spider-Man's having a knockdown, drag out, unbelievable fight in the background.
Yeah.
And Stan's just totally oblivious.
So perfect.
Good stuff.
Yeah, really good stuff.
That is good stuff. And I would be remiss if I didn't bring up that we shared. How should I? Would it be genealogy? I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm talking about Savage Dragon.
Yes. She-Dragon.
You were She-Dragon. And I thought that was just the coolest dang thing. And to this day, it's one of my favorite roles. It's very low key. It's very sort of unsung, shall we say?
I remember that. Yeah.
And I just liked the comic book so much.
Oh.
That I thought, it was one of those things that I said, I got to get this one. I got to get this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I tried, and then I lucked out. I got it. And you were She-Dragon.
And I remember being in that room. It's so funny you said that about being like low key on that one, because I was like, oh, that's an option. Listening to you, I was like, oh, I got to get that good. I got to get that good.
Geez.
I got to get there. Yeah, it was really, really cool. It was so cutting edge. I loved it.
Yeah, I really did too. I'm glad to hear that. And you were in one of my favorite things. I have to say this the right way. When I was a little kid, I really liked this one show, and it was and I don't even know who it was, but it was who did the production company. Might have been somewhere related to Hanna-Barbera. It was Clutch Cargo.
Okay.
And they had it was black and white, and they had animated faces with actual lips.
Oh, yes, with human lips, yes.
Yes, and they did that with that show, and then the next one was Johnny Quest.
Yes.
And you were in Johnny Quest.
I was Jesse Bannon.
Which is like so damn cool, I can't even stand it.
It was super fun. That was directed by the brilliant Chris Zimmerman-Salter. Yep. And Rob Paulson was in that one. It was so
He was
much...
Haji, I think.
Yep. And then Frank was in... it was just Frank Welker.
Frank Welker.
Frank was in everything. But
Yes,
it was just so much fun. I loved that show.
And
I
who
thought you
was-
were going to say Chimp Channel for a second, because they did the thing with the chimps moving and us being their voices. Yeah. That's a whole special nightmare.
That's another nightmare of another.
Right.
I feel like there was like such a core cast of voice actors in that mid-'80s to mid-'90s era. It's always the same names: Frank, Rob, Jim, Jess Harnell.
Yeah.
That Tress McNeil. They had their core, not their favorites, but clearly there was just that group of voice actors that were just better than everybody, and they just did everything.
You could count on them. You can count on them to have no ego, to show up on time and early, and to do exactly what you need, and to be prepared, and to be brilliant. They have no limits. Like I came in, my first show was in late 1993. It was Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego. And I just was like, I immediately jumped into class. I booked that show. It was the craziest thing. I had moved to LA for film and TV, and I worked, but you can't feed yourself off working like 3 times a year. You can't do it. And maybe 4. And so I made a voiceover tape just to make some money. I made a commercial tape. And within a month of that, one of my agents, he said he was in the shower and he got this idea to send me the Carmen Sandiego callbacks. And I wasn't allowed to watch cartoons as a kid. I was not allowed at all. I had no idea what this was.
Oh.
So I went in, and I didn't know the IP at all. And I went into the callback, and I just followed my instincts and just jumped as strong as I could jump.
Yes.
And I booked this series, and I was waiting tables in Universal City at the time at a restaurant that in the cocktail area of a restaurant that had no cocktail area. I was just scrambling to make any money.
Oh, wow.
And I booked the show, and I was like, wait, $478 for 4 hours?
Couple hours?
I hope they don't take that. I was convinced I was going to be fired every week because I didn't know what I was doing. So I jumped into classes as fast as possible, and to learn as much as I possibly could, and learning from all you guys, just watching you. That was in 1993 into 1994. That was my first job out there in voice acting. Yeah.
Well, one thing I always like to ask people is, how old were you? When you said, okay, I'm not going to be an attorney or a doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, whatever. When did you say, I'm going to be an actress? And however that manifests.
Honestly, never.
Yeah.
I was a singer. I started singing in clubs when I was 15.
That counts.
I had a
Me too, by the way.
Yeah, did you?
Yeah, maybe like 13-ish.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I got brave and jumped in with a band one night, and then joined a band and started singing. We were super illegal back then, but nobody cared. And we played every week. And that was my dream. I went to a fine arts high school just because I was not a kid who would have survived regular school. I was that kid like everybody made fun of, literally. I was like, I had a big bullseye on me, apparently.
Oh, boy.
And so I went to the fine arts high school, and it was great. And then I got a job at a video production studio that was next door to an audio studio. And because I'd gone to the Fine Arts High School, I could, in Birmingham, Alabama, I could speak without an accent, and I could do a Valley Girl. And they called me next door to do a Valley Girl. And they paid me, I think it was $30 or $35. And I was like, wait, what? What? What?
For
and
stuff I do for free?
Yeah. And I started bugging them to teach me what they knew. You know, I mean, I've got this site now that I created with my sister, acting.skillshub.life, and it's based on this model. Like, people who know how to do it, you pay them for their time, and they tell you exactly what you need to know. And it's an as-needed basis, that kind of thing. But
give us the name again so people can...
acting.skillshub.life. Yeah, it's really just to break down barriers for people. And originally it was started because I just get bored with auditioning by myself, and I just wanted 10 minutes with a director I trusted. So now we have, our coaches it's by the minute. We have classes. We have I wrote these step-by-step guides for all right, you want to do animation first, do your foundations. Step 1, step 2, all the steps to learn your foundations. All right, now you can go in animation, study all these things with all these different people, not me, but all these other people who are really good, because we have working actors, working voice directors, and working casting directors who are our coaches, and people can get them by the minute, and they teach classes too.
Wow.
Anyway, yeah, it's
That's
great.
that's pretty darn cool.
It's cool. It's where most of my time goes right now, honestly. I'm all about launching other people and how can I help. That's my joy right now. But anyway, so I bugged these mentors to tell me what they knew, and I took my demo and went door to door cold calling ad agencies, and then I went to Atlanta and had my first film audition, and I booked it, and I kept booking film and TV, and I was like, okay, this acting makes sense to me. And
yeah, it does.
Yeah, I was never a kid who did a lot of voices. In fact, I was incredibly shy because of my aforementioned spot on the social circle. And I remember being in junior high, and they were the career days, they were talking about advertising and slogans and things that stick in people's heads. And they were asking about old campaigns, and does anybody remember this? And do you remember Juan Valdez, the Juan Valdez coffee commercials?
Sure.
And they're like, does anybody remember what he says? And nobody was saying anything, and I knew it. And out of my incredibly shy mouth comes, East Mountain Grown. And everybody starts howling, laughing, and turns and looks at me, and I'm like, oh my God, I want to die.
Oh, no.
This is so embarrassing. So I was not the kid that performed in front of everybody. I was just like, don't look at me, which is why voiceover is so perfect. Yeah.
Well, I can see you, so I don't want to ruin your day.
I'm going to hide now.
Right, Chris?
Without getting into the nitty-gritty, unless you want to, because you've spoken about it in the past, but how important do you think your childhood was and the struggles you went through there was to making you such an independent, positive thinker going forward?
It's everything. I mean, I'm pretty open about this. I had a really heinous childhood. I always had a place to live. But my mom was a real special cocktail of personality disorders who was super high functioning. So it looked great from the outside, but it was pretty much a blender with sharp blades on the inside. And it made me, it's going to sound really weird. I love it. I don't always, but I'm deeply grateful for it because it gave me an understanding of the human experience that I would not otherwise have. And I have what I call resting privilege face. I just have this face, or I look like I grew up with money and everything was easy. And so people will prejudge me like that all the time. And I identify most with our communities in the world who are the most discarded and traumatized. Because I'm like, I get that. That's how my life, but I don't look like that. So they're always like, why are you standing next to us? And I'm like, because I feel most comfortable right here. And they're like, go away. I'm like, okay.
Oh,
but
jeez.
it made me incredibly resilient and strong. And it also connected me to some pieces of human behavior that are so useful in my job. I have this whole run. Jim, remember Powerpuff Girls, right? Working on that show. And I have a couple recurring characters on there who are psychotic.
Right.
One of them is like straight out of my mom. No disrespect, but it's just the facts. She's mean as a snake. But really lovely. Like to everybody, I'm a good lady is her daytime personality is I'm a good lady. And then Sedusa is like, and it is that kind of thing that's going to change around here. I'm like,
wow,
this is easy for me. I know this inside and out.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of things available. I mean, for me as a person, I have access to a level of human experience that is pretty vast and pretty intense and very useful as a performer. I have a lot of compassion and understanding for difficulties of all kinds, not all the flavors, but many of the flavors. And I'm humble. I know what I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. I know I don't know a lot. And so, but it made me also very resilient. I am an incredibly resilient person, and I think that is really important for this career. I teach, there's one class, we have many, many coaches, like we have like 90 now on Skills Hub who teach, and they're all, like I said, work in pros, but there's one class that I will teach, and it's my Start It class, and it's about the head game. It's about getting your thinking right. It's about getting your routines right and your habits right so you can sustain. And one thing that I have woven into every piece of that curriculum is internal validation. You can't wait for anybody out there to validate you. And because I think there's a lot of people who come to acting who don't have the greatest backgrounds, and taking care of yourself internally is important. So it is built into that class and that curriculum, like you must learn to self-validate. So you walk into those audition rooms and you're not like, do you like me? Is it okay? Can I stay? You know, you walk in like, hey, this is my bag of tricks. Let's play. And thank you so much. And you leave powerfully, not like, thank you. You know, you leave like, thank you. You know? And I want people to have that strength within themselves, and I want them to know how to restore themselves. So in that way, it's been a real gift. It's been a real blessing. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that you when you go into auditions, Chris? You beat your chest. First, right? I'm over here.
Right?
Yeah. And then he tells them when he's available.
You guys were both production assistants, weren't you? You were production assistants, weren't you, Chris, at one point?
Once upon a time, yeah. Just a few years ago. I guess not. Yeah, 7 years ago. 7 years ago.
I was
working
too.
in Vancouver.
Oh my God, seriously?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, eh? Yeah, I can say that because I live up here. I live in the north. Yeah, I was a PA. Jim, I was an on-camera PA. And to tell you what, I tell people this, work on the other side of the camera or the glass or whatever profession you want to perform in, work in the tech side, because I'll never forget, I was on this movie of the week. I was playing Rod Steiger's daughter, which was an acting class in and of itself.
Boy, howdy.
Oh my God, it was an amazing acting class. I got great stories from that shoot. But in terms of working behind the scenes, because I'd been a PA in Birmingham where you did all the jobs, from like framing shots and being the hand model to helping your boss tie in by keeping a rope around him in case he starts to fry when he's tying into the panel and you pull him off, like all the jobs. And I knew how to frame shots. I was on this movie of the week, and they're doing a shoot in a scene in a hospital, and I can hear the director's frustration talking to the DP, and the issue is where I'm standing, they can see the entire hall. And they haven't dressed the entire hall. They've got gear in the way. They've got this. They've got that. And I can tell that's what's messing up their shot. And it's going to be a long time to set it. And we've got a schedule. Yeah. It took all the courage I had. I was like, excuse me. I was like, oh, louder. Come on. I was like 19. I was like, excuse me. And they're like, I'm like, ah. I said, what if I just kneel down? Because it would change the angle of the shot. And they wouldn't have to dress the hall. And Dick Lowry, the director, he goes, genius. Yeah. You know? And it was just because I knew the demands of the tech side. Yeah. And once I started recording myself, you know how when we're recording and we'll make a mistake and we'll just continue on. We'll go pick up or whatever we do. I used to do that and I would talk like I'm talking now, like with no breaks. Nightmare. As soon as I started editing anything, I'd make a mistake and then I'd do the pickup. So the engineer can see the dead space in the waveform and they can find it easily.
Thank you. As someone who edits things.
Exactly. But this is what, like, people out there who are interested in this as a profession, do this stuff on the other side so that you become an asset. Because when you're in an audition, they're not just looking at your talent. They're looking at, is this a person I want to work with? Is this somebody I want to spend 4 hours or a year or 6 years or whatever it's going to be on a project with? And don't be cloying. Don't be like, subservient stuff. Just be you and be calm and be centered and take care of your own ego and be good to work with. Yeah.
Well, that's good advice, period.
Yeah. Yeah, right? That's common in our whole circle, isn't it? Like everybody's quirky and brilliant and so easy to be with.
Yeah.
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 For the most part.
Yeah, Jim always says for the most part.
I'm not going to speak out of school, but I'm not going to say no either.
Yeah, right. Except for you know who.
My lips are sealed.
Yeah.
What's funny is, do you actually think you know who Jim's talking about when he says that?
I know two people it could be.
Could be.
I know two people. Only two.
Yeah. There's only two.
Yep.
All right. Well, you need to be on your way. So, Chris, should we play some voice swap before Jennifer goes to do her motherly things?
Oh, no. I'm nervous now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Right. You explain the game, Chris.
Yes, please.
All right. So Jim will do one of his iconic character voices. He'll do a line of one of the characters, say Winnie the Pooh.
Okay.
And he'll deliver a line, and then you'll take that same line and just change the voice to one of your iconic characters.
Okay.
And then vice versa.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Let's see. Well, how about Fat Cat from Chippendale's Rescue Rangers? We haven't had him on deck for a good long time. Fat Cat from Chippendale Rescue Rangers. Didn't your mother ever teach you not to mumble when you're speaking with somebody?
All right, I'm going to go the opposite way with this one. This is Bastille Lachon from Knights of the Old Republic. Didn't your mother ever teach you not to mumble when you're speaking to someone?
You bastard.
You bastard.
Actually, Fat Cat would never
Use
say
the
that.
force. Yes. Okay. I will do, and I'm going to gain way down for this, Princess Morbucks from Powerpuff Girls. Okay, here you go.
Oh, okay.
Hold your eardrums, because she's just so piercing. Here we go.
Oh, boy.
Daddy, I want to be a Powerpuff Girl, but they said I couldn't.
Okay.
Dang. Maybe that should be Bonkers Steve Bobcat.
Let's do it.
But Daddy, I want to be a Powerpuff Girl, but they said I couldn't. And I want to be a Powerpuff Girl.
That's actually perfect.
Love it.
Yeah, well, he can squeal and screech like that, so
Yeah.
I think, and there are cats and dogs outside going, I'm sorry, was somebody calling me?
Yeah, my dog's right here. Right, no, I'm kidding.
Yeah. I'm right here, man.
Let's swap Boulders Gate's characters just for the hardcores.
That means I have to remember it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's no fair.
Jim knows the lines. You know Minsk.
Well, I know.
Well, you do it, and then I'm going to surprise you with another character from something.
Okay.
We don't know what it's going to be.
Okay. All right, well, here, let's see. This is Minsk from the world-famous Powerpuff Girls giving instructions to his attack hamster.
Okay.
Go for the ice, boo! Go for the ice!
I'm actually going to do this as Cinderella.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, dear. Go for the ice, Boo. Go for the ice. But don't hurt him. All right. Oh, do you need help? Can I help you? Oh, dear.
I'll rip out the ice. Got you. No problem.
Rip out the eyes, got you, no problem. This is a scary kingdom we're in.
You sound so
Disney are
wholesome
gonna love
and
that
royal.
one.
Oh no! Oh dear.
You sound very royal and princessy.
She is. She's extraordinary.
That's a
I'm
beautiful
so honored
thing.
to be her.
Is there anything, now listen, before we go, is there anything we should know coming up or you got anything to brag about? Anything?
I
mean, I don't know.
do.
You're going to a con, you're giving a speech.
Yeah. Oh
you're
yeah.
doing,
I've done that. I'm
got a parking ticket.
I'm not going to talk about that. But of course, X-Men 97 is on Disney Plus right now. I'm so excited to be Jean Grey in that series, which is amazing. And a bunch of stuff going on, a bunch of stuff coming out. Most of it's under NDA. The place you will find me the most right now is at acting.skillshub.life. I am pouring my soul into this platform. We've launched a YouTube channel. It's skillshub.life, and I'm on there every week or two with some new piece of information just to support people in this career, help people on this creative path. And we have like 90 coaches, so they're starting to get beautiful gems in from them as well. And yeah, that's where you'll find me. I'm doing a free AMA this Saturday in the site. I mean, it's free to members. Membership's $20 a month. It's like you get so much stuff for free. It's ridiculous. And our classes are super affordable. But I'm doing an AMA for anybody who's interested in voice acting. I will do that every couple months on there. Just to come in.
AMA, what?
Ask me anything. Sorry, and ask me anything. And it's not. I don't talk about my career in there. I talk about you and about like people on this path. Like, what do you need? How can I support you? Where are you stuck? What do you need next? Okay. And mostly people are just wondering, I don't know what to do next. And we talk about that, and we get their thinking in where they need it to be to get to the next step.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And do you assist like making a demo tape? Because when I was first
Yeah.
coming up, I don't know about you, but that was like your calling card. Well, here's my demo.
Yep.
You know.
What we have, I wrote an entire thing called the demo path. We will not produce demos on purpose because I think it's a conflict of interest. But what we have is this demo path is free with your membership, and it is literally like a set of exercises to go through, practice to do, material to gather, coaches to talk to, specific things to do before you invest that chunk of money. You're essentially doing a practice demo through this specific instruction that I wrote myself for you to do over a course of a few weeks to prepare. And by the time you've done that process, you are ready and you know where to go. You know what to do. Yeah.
Wow. One-stop shopping.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is.
Knock wood.
Yeah.
And just give us the address again, just to make sure it's in their heads.
Acting.skillshub.life. It
Links
is
in the description. Links in the description.
Perfect. Yay.
Okay, great.
Yeah, that's where you'll find me much of the time. I'm having so much fun. We have we have 90 coaches, and I know just one of our coaches, he's a voice director and casting director. 5 of our members who have coached with him over a period of time now have LA agents and live nowhere near LA. One lives in Malaysia. I'm like, let's open the doors to talent, because representation is such a big thing in the industry now, right? And so let's give everybody, if you want a trans person from the South Pacific, we will help you. Let's find that. Let's give you the process. Let's give you the option to get out into the world.
Should we mention an agency you're involved with here or there? Or
SBV Talent. I've been with them since 1993. That's my home.
That's Sutton Barth Venari.
Yep, love them. My Instagram is @jhalegram, Gram. It's mostly sunrises in my life, some acting stuff. And then I'm still on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, @jhale tweets. I'm on Threads automatically through Instagram, and Facebook is automatic feed from Instagram and all the things. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And go outside, everybody. Go outside, breathe some air, have some fun. Yeah.
That's good advice.
Yeah. And you matter. I want to say that to everybody out there. You matter. So don't act like you don't, because you do. So let's get to it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jennifer Hale, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody, for watching. That was another episode of Tuned In with Jim Cummings, today with Jennifer Hale. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciated it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And you heard Jennifer, go outside. Go outside as well. YouTube's not everything.
I'll see you on the front
thank you so
line.
much for supporting us. We really appreciate it. And until the next one, I'm producer Chris, Brendan Dando, Jim Cummings, and our guest Jennifer Hale. We'll see you in the next one.
So fun.
The end.